Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and it's the Sunday the 5th of September. It's first Sunday in the month, so it's time for the monthly garden quick walk around and tour and see if there's anything interesting to point out or anything worthwhile happening still. And incredibly, there's some sun coming out today, which feels like the first. I'm sure we've had a bit of sun the last couple of weeks, but it's been cold, windy, not much rain. It's been dry, but basically a lack of heat and sunshine. But they're actually promising us some warm weather for the next couple of days, which hopefully will give some of the plants a boost that haven't been doing much. So without further ado, we'll have a quick whiz round the non-tropical plants in the garden, just my normal stuff. I'm going to start with my Crimson Bonfire, I think it is, ornamental peach, patio peach, with these lovely purple leaves. It's done very nicely in its first year, has got peaches on it. I was hoping it was going to produce edible peaches, but it doesn't look very promising at the moment. They're very small for peaches, about half the size they should be, and it might well be due to the fact that we've had a frankly, a very cold August, and peaches really do better in Mediterranean climates, and I don't think we've had enough warmth for the fruit to be to be swelling. It might also be because obviously I only put the plant in bare root this spring and it's not that well established, but nevertheless it's looking very healthy. So we'll have a quick flick around the rest of the garden. Daphne's still in full flower. My pot grown camellias are doing nicely. The Abutilon, which is an ornamental plant, it's got plenty of flowers on it still. At the back there is my Agni Molini Flambeau, the variegated one, kind of tucked away at the back of the border, so it's not in the ideal place to produce fruit. I mean, I can't see any from here, but I believe it has got a few fruits on it this year, but I'll need to think about how I prune these other plants around it to see if I can give it some more light. That's the Kiwi Berry, which, as you know, I discovered this year was not Arguta, the one it was meant to be. It's not a self-fertile one, so I've had to buy some other Kiwi berries in the hope that I can get cross-pollination on it in future years. We'll sort of ignore the Tamarindo because that's obviously not one of my hardy in-ground plants. The blueberries tucked away behind here have now finished fruiting. Got a few tiny little fruits on them now that aren't really not really edible. They're just the leftovers at the end of the season. First of my pineapple guavas, this one's Mammoth, has got a few, probably won't be able to see, but it has got a few fruits starting to develop, but they're very late, unfortunately, being as we're now in September. I'm not sure if we're going to get them up to an edible size because they really need 3 months at least, and we've only got September and October before the weather turns really cold, but we'll see what happens. Again, this is next to it is my Unnamed Seedling pineapple guava. Does produce small round fruits, not very edible to be honest, a little bit on the small side. It's only got a few this year, so perhaps it'll put more energy into them, but again, because of the cold and the fact that I cut it back this year, it's running about a month late, so I'm not expecting too much. You can probably see that growing among the plants, I've now got plenty of flowers on my ornamental passion fruit or passion flower. This is Amethyst. Does sometimes produce fruits, but they're always empty. I think it's a it's a sterile variety because it's just an ornamental one, probably a cross with Cyrulia. Moving along, my ground Pomegranate's doing very well. You can see very, very healthy. No flowers on it whatsoever. I'm not going to trim it back this year. I'm hoping we might be able to force some flowers on it next year, but it might only be ornamental. Tucked away at the back there is my only in-ground pomegranate, but I think it might be a male one because it's a seed-growing one. Had a few small flowers this year, but nothing that set fruit, so I'm suspecting it's probably a male variety. Agipanthus have now finished flowering, so I'm going to cut the heads off those today because I don't want them. They're expending too much energy producing seeds that I don't need. I mean, I had hundreds of seeds last year and I don't grow them, so don't germinate them, so it's just pointless really. hidden away behind there. Can't even see it, it's so tucked away. I've got my, might be able to just about pick it out. There's a pawpaw behind there, which is a variety sunflower. I think I'm going to have to try and dig that out because it's so smothered now by the pomegranate and everything else that I don't think it's going to grow, unfortunately. I cut back my, this is my bottle brush callistemon there, which was sort of overwhelming my other Feijoa or pineapple Guava, so I've cut that back hard, and that's put out loads of new shoots, so that's looking fine. Should flower next year. At the back I've got a butterfly bush, still got a few flowers on it, but I think I might cut that back soon. And you can probably see there my trumpet vine up in the air, Campsis, is still covered in lovely big red trumpet flowers. That's just ornamental. At the front here I've got my other pineapple Guava, the Triumph. This one's doing fine this year. It's a lot more successful. You can see there's plenty of fruits coming on it. Largest fruit is there. I'm doing weekly updates on this in separate videos for anyone who's interested in the pineapple Guavas. I do weekly updates to see how the fruits develop. Looks like we are going to get some edible fruits on it this year. Should be by about November. This is my in-ground pawpaw, American pawpaw, Asamina triloba. This is a seed-grown variety. Nursery that supplied it only has unnamed plants, but it's doing really, really well, and it has actually got some fruits in it, which I'll feature in another special, in a one-off video. You can probably just about see them. Yeah, you can just about see them tucked away behind there. As it's an unnamed one, who knows what the quality will be like, but you know, at least they're growing. Moving around past the summer house, I've got a load of Narangillas or Narangillas or Lulos. This is Solanum ketoense growing in ground. Have spiteful thorns on them, so you have to be a bit careful when you're handling them if you don't want to get spiked. I've got plenty of those, including one in ground. This was my new raised bed that I put in. It's got a Chilean Guava variety, is Kapow. She looks like it might have some edible sized fruits on it. Experimental yuzu in ground to see if it can survive the winter. Has got a couple of fruits on it. Moving around, I've got a honeyberry, two honeyberries at the front, which I hope are going to cross pollinate each other. We've got a Luma apiculata here. Behind it is my strawberry, yellow cherry guava, I should say, which I've put in ground as another winter experiment to see if it can survive. Might have to put some protection on it. And at the back I've got two tropical passion fruits which are doing well, but of course aren't likely to survive the winter. But I just wanted to put them in ground just to see how quickly they grew. My little tree corner at the back here, got a persimmon, no fruits on it. Behind it is my pink Moldovan mulberry. It's now finished fruiting. I've got a brown turkey fig here, which has actually got a fig on it that's ready to pick, which I'll pick later today. And behind that is my Illinois everbearing. That's also turning yellow. They're getting autumn colours here at the beginning of September because it's been so cold the months. The plants think that autumn's come early. My two in-ground Kiwi Berries I put in, that's a male and a female, which I hope are going to produce fruits in this shady corner and cross-pollinate each other when they eventually flower. My Asian pear, this one's Shinziki, has got a fair number of fruits on it, which are a little bit small this year, but there's several on the tree, but they are getting to an edible size, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks they'll be ready to pick. Pomegranate hasn't done much this year. See some dead growth on it that I need to prune off and remove. They just don't like growing in pots, it would seem. Unfortunately, I've lost two of my jujubes. Now I'm thinking that I think frankly it's due to lack of heat and too much water. I think the pots are too wet. But this one sent out, interestingly, suckers, and the suckers are perfectly healthy, but of course they won't be a named variety, so I think that's I maybe have to use the suckers and graft back onto them at a later stage, because I've got 2 jujubes still alive. I think I've got 1 Lee and 1 Lang, and probably what I'll do is I think I'm going to repot them into bigger pots with a much more open, fast draining soil this winter, see if I can save the others. I think these are past it, unfortunately. But I'll cut them back and probably repot them in winter and see if there's anything that can be done. This large shrub here is a cornus. I think it's Cornus Cousa. It should produce edible fruits. This is my other jujube. This is the healthiest looking one. But again, I'm going to repot them all in winter and see if I can put them into a better soil that makes them feel more at home. This one's a Goji Berry. Got some flowers on it. It's the first year I've had the plant. It was only 6 inches tall when I got it, and it's now over a metre. As you can see, it's producing flowers. Finally seem to have some growth on my carob tree. I got this last winter, and when I took it out to repot it in spring, all the roots had rotted on it. I think it had been overwatered in the nursery, because these are more of a Mediterranean plant. So I did a bare root treatment on it, and I can see got a fair bit of growth coming on it now, so I think the roots have recovered. There's various mulberries here down at the front. This one is, what's this variety? This is agate. This is my Japanese raisin tree. This is a Pakistan mulberry. I think this is a black or red variety. Next to it is another mulberry, which I think is, let's have a look, see, rather than guessing. This one's Carmen. Various figs, honeyberries, Szechuan pepper. Down there is the Chinese mulberry or Chai fruit. Got various other, there's a lot of Persimmons here. I'm not going to go into all the varieties because there's still about 18 varieties alive. I have, excuse me, I have got 3 or 4 Persimmons developing on some of the trees at the back, the ones that woke up late that didn't get damaged by the frost. But the fruits are only about the size of walnuts. I can't zoom in on them, they're too far away. So I'm not sure if they're going to make it to any level of edibility this year, because they were just running too late. But it's probably going to depend on whether or not we get a warm September and October compared to the dreadful rest of the summer we've had. Various figs here that have got embryo fruits on, but none of these will be edible. I have, however, got 2 figs bagged up on that variety at the back, which actually isn't a known variety. It's a Cyprus variety, and believe it or not, those fruits are Braber fruits, and we're now towards the end of the first week of September, and they're only just getting to ripeness, so it shows you what a dreadful summer we've had. My poor Prima at the back, I'm not going to walk around the back to show it closer, it's probably got about 7 or 8 fruits on it that I think will get to an edible size, and they'll probably be ready in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Then I've got various other feijoas here in pots, some of which have flowered this year and have a few small fruits on, but I don't think much will happen with them. There's my Chilean Guava butterball at the back. There's another pomegranate variety that's going to have to be up potted this winter because that's very root bound, and you can see again, being root bound, it's getting its autumn leaves. I mean, you can see what's happening to these figs. These are going into dormancy already in September, beginning of September, which is ridiculous really, but it's just been triggered by all the cold weather we've had. But the pineapple guavas are all looking fine. There's one of my loquats there, had a lot of problem with curling brown and dropping leaves this year. I don't know if it's too much water, not enough water in the pots, or perhaps fertiliser burn. Medlar's doing nicely this year. It's going to need to be repotted again. I'm hoping to get flowers on that next year, but at least it's still alive. There's a Tamarindo here hiding amongst all the hardier plants. There's my Azores blueberry down here, my Saturn peach or nectarine. It's the flat donut type one. hardly grown this year, but I'm hoping as it's looking healthy the roots have established, and I'm going to put that inside over winter to stop any peach leaf curl. In front of it is my this one here. This is a black mulberry. I think this is Raisin. Going into dormancy already, amazingly. And here we've got, let me check the names, that's my blue bean tree, Decaisnia. More fig varieties down here. My other variety of loquat. One of them's Oliver and one's Mrs. Cookson, but I can't remember which is which. Again, got that same problem with poor leaf development, so I'm not too sure the reason for that. At the back there is my recent purchase, and that genuinely is a Kiwi Berry Isai, and it has actually got some fruits on it. It had on nursery. I mean, they won't amount to anything because the shock of transplanting from a pot to the ground will stop them developing. I've lost all three of my Passiflora incarnata, the Maypop. Unfortunately, the wet spring we got, they survived the winter, and then the very wet spring when they wanted to start growing killed them all off. Show how cold it's been. My tomatoes have been a disaster. The aubergine didn't grow at all. The cucumber it was too cold for, and all I've had is a handful of fruits on the tomatoes. It's just not been warm enough for them to do anything. I planted them very late. I didn't put them out till the end of July, which was too late, but I wasn't going to grow any this year. And then I saw some in the nursery and thought I'd get a few, but unfortunately they just didn't get any heat in August, so they never got going. A few seedling loquats I've got there. A few white Pakistan mulberries. These are the three that I've featured in other videos. And then just walking around to the last parts of the garden, this is my other raised border. It's got a variegated rhododendron in, Agipanthus, and it's got my largest fig. And I'm hoping, because I pinched back all of the growth in July, I'm hoping that some of these figs you see there, which are a reasonable size, if we get some warm weather in September, I'm hoping they might be forced to grow, and I might get some edible figs off it, main crop figs, in mid-October, but we'll have to see what happens. So that was my quick garden tour. So I haven't gone into great detail because there's just too many plants to there's too many plants to name. I'll only pick out things that might have fruits on them that are interesting to see. Oh, and on the wall at the back there, I've got my chocolate vine. I've got 3 varieties there now, so I'm hoping to get cross-pollination next year and get a few fruits on those as well. But that's a quick tour of my small but rather packed garden for anyone who's interested or follows my videos. As I said, hopefully things are going to be better next year, and we're not going to have another late cold spell in April, which really wrecked quite a lot of my plants. Unfortunately, I was expecting to have persimmons on at least half my plants this year, and I was hoping I was going to be able to try about 7 or 8 different varieties of persimmon, but as it is, if they even get to ripeness, I'm only going to be able to try 2, I think, this year, which is a shame, but it is what it is with our weather. But at least most of the other pot grown plants are doing well, and I've got probably got 8 varieties of figs here in total. Anyway, if you've watched the video, thank you very much. Much appreciate your time. Please give me a thumbs up. Share the video if you think anyone's interested. Obviously subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see updates on plants that have got fruits coming, like some of the persimmons and the pineapple guavas, then remember to click on the bell. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Brett out for now.